It's time to like realize the left keeps trying to build up and build up and build up, and it's realizing what I'm trying to teach the left is that you need to first knock down that which you seek to replace.
Yeah.
You need to knock down the building that's in the spot you want to put your building in.
Yeah.
Like abortion, for example. We built this building of abortion, and it was stood for 60 years. And then the Republicans have come along and torn it down, and now we got to build a new house.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Something has to be ready to, take its place. The building blocks have to be there, so that way something is like just completely like at the ready once it's the dismantling occurs, so to speak. And a lot of people don't really understand that. It's like, I mean, speaking of the left, like a lot of them are just so, like the third party types are just so adamant about.
Oh God.
We gotta vote for Jill Stein because she's the only one who's anti-genocide and whatnot. It's like if she gets enough votes because of the community of Michigan, she might win Michigan. It's like okay, it's not gonna happen.
If they had a real party with a real candidate, then I would consider voting for them.
Yeah,
the Green Party has been around. Since the first exposure to the Green Party I had was 2000 with Ralph Nader versus Gore and Bush, and that was when I first realized they existed. I know they existed well before that, but they've had plenty of time for America to take them seriously. Yeah. They could have come up with, for example, a media apparatus by which they commented on every single issue that came up in discourse over a series of years, and they could have established personalities and relationships with other politicians. There's a million different things. And it's not like they didn't have any money.
No, of course.
They've got some money. So they could have done some creative things to build a brand for themselves and really go after, some small political wins, you know?
No, of course. But no, instead they sit out and wait till after the primaries are over at each election cycle, and they do nothing. I mean, Cornel West, I believe, was the candidate for the Green Party after switching from the People's Party for like a brief moment of time. This is a guy who has built a name for himself, who has been all over media, who has made several different appearances on several different networks or shows or podcasts or whatever the hell. And like, Jill Stein doesn't have that level of exposure. Not even close. No. It's like... branding,
she also sucks.
Marketing.
She's been around for 15, 20 years or something.
She's awful.
Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, give me someone real. Like, give me someone with some talent. There's got to be somebody out there you can find. I mean, it really is kind of a casting decision, isn't it? Like, you can't find a good-looking woman that also knows how to talk fast and
it's like
has data at her disposal. I mean, you can get a long way by just talking shit about the establishment.
Sure, and that's basically all she has at her disposal at this point. But rarely ever goes after Republicans. Like, that's why the Abandon Harris campaign is like a huge like backbone of her campaign. But her and the Briahna Joy Grays of the world just don't seem to fucking have a clue. It's like, oh, if we get
what happened to Briahna Joy Gray? I thought she was like cool, but
no.
Yeah, what happened?
No, I mean,
is she just trying to be anti-establishment? Like, speaking of,
well, I mean, to put it bluntly, like I would watch her appearance on Crystal Kyle and Friends because her hang-up. I mean, aside from the fact that like when she's backed into a corner on her rhetoric and she can't actually answer for the shit that she believes in, she'll just start playing the identity card. She'll start playing the race card and shit.
Really?
Well, yeah. Well, as a black woman, I feel strong about this. So you have to like accept the way I feel about this. Fucking
really.
Back in 2020, she made a big deal because she engaged with Noam Chomsky about not. She didn't want to vote for Biden. She felt like the Democrats weren't going far enough on this and that, and they weren't the right party, whatever. And Noam Chomsky was like, no, Trump is an existential threat. The Republican Party is a party of extremists. The globe cannot afford them getting back into power in any way, shape, or form. It is our obligation as people of the left to vote against him, and that means Biden must win. And she just couldn't fucking accept it. And she's still like that to this day. People like her saying the Green Party is the only way forward. She was even asked, and has been asked multiple times, for example, on Crystal Kyle and Friends, if you had a choice, or if you had a preference between the two viable candidates that can actually take power and actually have a chance to achieve power, and right now it's either Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. Out of the two of those, who would you prefer wins? Who would you prefer our future be under? Like, as if one of them were to become president, what kind of political landscape would you prefer to live in this country under? And she cannot answer. She will not answer. She dodges it and just like makes all sorts of excuses. She just entirely dishonest.
She's stubborn as hell.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not just her either. It's the Jimmy Dores of the world. It's the it's
well,
that,
I
that whole
don't.
dumb
I hesitate
left,
I hesitate to mention it because I'm usually defending the Ivy League, even though I have no.
Yeah, she's a
Ivy
lawyer.
League
Like
degrees
she
or
should
anything,
know better
but
than this.
I'm normally defending elite academic institutions as their worth, but with her, it does seem like she's a little got that Harvard arrogance going on.
She's very arrogant.
She thinks that she's the smartest person in the room. She doesn't have anything to learn from anybody. That's what I like about Kyle, is that he actually is interested in learning. He doesn't maybe think he has a lot to learn because he's very well read.
Of course.
But he looks at relationships with the idea that maybe there's something I can learn from this person. I mean, Crystal's probably the same way. I don't know her, but I don't know either of them. But I just suspect based on their media presence.
Yeah, he does approach things with a very rigid level of logic that few pundits and people of the left and commentators actually do. It's like, well, if you think this and you think this is going to happen, then when
he's good at using their framing against them. Yeah, he's really good at using their framing against them. Saying, for example, if you're pro life, then you have to be against the death penalty. Which is right. And he called out what's his name from Daily Wire, the closet gay guy.
Not Matt Walsh.
No, the other guy was an actor.
Get under my skin for that.
Knowles, Michael
Knowles. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
yeah. No, I mean it's a great example because it's like, he straight up like asked, like he said this, like he's gone over this little dynamic, this little thought experiment before when it comes to the third party, like because advocates of the third party or the Green Party say like, oh, if we just get 5% of the national vote, we'll finally get federal funding. We'll have access to that federal funding. Okay, and then what? Where's your ground game? Where are the local candidates? Like, where are these local campaigns? Where is that going to go? It's like, it doesn't mean anything, especially if the Green Party has not had any modicum of, like, significant successes, like anywhere, like federal, state, or local. It's like, or like this fantasy that because Michigan has a large Arab American population, that somehow it's gonna flip green. It's like, okay, so Michigan goes green, then what? Does that stop the genocide in Gaza? No, it fucking doesn't. Like, it's like, come on, dude.
I think 9% of America's population is Muslim. I want to say
something like that.
9%,
or at least
I thought maybe it was of Arab descent or of Middle Eastern descent.
That's probably it.
That's I don't know. I think it might be inclusive of all Muslims. But anyway,
Regardless, it's not enough to sway an election.
no, 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 not in one state.
Yeah, of course.
In a national election, it would maybe matter.
Yeah. Between the two parties that actually have a ground game in every single state and have the duopoly, for crying out fucking loud. It's like, come on.
Ranked choice voting in a multi-party system is probably the best structure of government.
It's
but
the most
we'll
frustrating.
probably never get that.
It's the most frustrating thing in the world. And I've been dealing with this since the 2020 election. Even looking back into my channel, like the most frustrating thing is like, yeah, I want the duopoly to fucking vanish. I don't want there to be like fucking, what is it, paddleball, ping pong. Ping pong back and forth between the Democrats and Republicans. The Republicans don't deserve power. So if you're going to dismantle the duopoly, clearly you want the more extreme party to go under first. You want to render them obsolete first. Green Party doesn't believe that. They want to take away from the Democrats. They want to punish them. And it's all just completely fraudulent, completely inauthentic, completely dishonest as fuck. And I don't respect it. If you're in a deep state, like a deep blue state, whatever the fuck, like, sure, like, vote to your heart's content. But this country cannot, the world cannot afford living under Republican control in the United States, given our influence and our power across the globe, especially when it comes to climate change policy.